Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan have been arrested in Romania. In fact, their residence has been raided, and we are learning more as the story develops. So in the coming days, I'm sure we're gonna have more details about this. But they have been accused of trafficking women, of holding them captive against their will. And the investigation continues. Apparently, the authorities were investigating the Tates because they have been allegedly trafficking multiple women. According to reports, the investigation first began when the US Embassy in Romania got a tip in April that the Tates were holding a US citizen at their home against her will. The authorities searched the Tates' home and have found that women there, as well as another woman who was trafficked. So the woman who they initially found out about was in fact there, and there was an additional woman there who alleges that she was also trafficked. Now, I'm gonna read you from a translated statement, or translated report, I should say, from Romania. It's based on Google Translate, so it might be a little cumbersome, but nonetheless, this is what we know based on local reports from Romania. The police say that the injured persons were allegedly recruited by brothers Andrew and Tristan Tate, who misled them that they wanted a marriage/cohabitation relationship and that they had real feelings of love for them. The women were allegedly later transported and housed in buildings through acts of physical violence and mental coercion, intimidation, constant surveillance, control of basically just control of them and where they go, whether they can leave or not. They were sexually exploited by the group's members by forcing them to perform pornographic acts in order to produce and disseminate. So they were filming them in pornographic acts in order to sell, I guess. That's what the allegation is here. Through social media platforms, materials having such a character, and by submitting to the execution of a work in a forced manner. So basically, the women in question are alleging that they've been trafficked by the Tate brothers, and that's what this investigation is about. Now, why is it that they're only being investigated today? Similar accusations have been floating around for quite some time now. And it turns out that when Andrew Tate decided to go after Greta Thunberg, he ended up telling on himself. Authorities were waiting to see if they could find his exact location. They didn't know whether he was actually in Romania or not. So let's take a look at this tweet from Alejandro Caballero, who says, Romanian authorities needed proof that Andrew Tate was in the country, so they reportedly used his social media posts. His ridiculous video yesterday featured a pizza from a Romanian pizza chain, Jerry's Pizza, confirming he was in fact in the country. This is absolutely epic, and I totally agree with her take there. Cenk.
So this is amazing. Look, Tate's a douche, and that is acknowledged by nearly everyone except his fans. And actually his fans like him for being a douche, so even they acknowledge it. But you're allowed to be one. And so he runs this cheesy webcam business. It feels exploitive. I get it if you hate him for it, but you're allowed to run a webcam business. He has said that women who get raped, that they're partly responsible for. He just can't be a worse guy. He's just the most awful guy you've ever heard of, right? But that's not illegal. But holding women against their will is definitely illegal, and it is
right.
And bringing them in from other countries on false promises, and then kidnapping them and forcing them into sex work is about as illegal as it gets. That's sex trafficking, human trafficking. And this dude is rightfully in a world of trouble.
Yeah, and in regard to his webcam business, there are allegations that the women, some of the women at least, have been forced to perform in those webcam performances. And obviously they're pornographic in nature, so I'm guessing the report that I read from earlier was referring to that. I also wanted to talk a little more about that scam webcam business. So according to a report by the Mirror earlier this year, Callis, Tristan, and Andrew Tate admit their business is a total scam, but say the authorities cannot stop them. They claim to run a studio where 75 lingerie-clad models take calls from fans paying $4 a minute. Punters can ask for private shows and pay for tips at their own risk. Some women will claim that they have crippling university debt, a family member in need of private health care, or a dream of moving to the UK, sometimes even telling men they want to meet them. And it turns out that some, if not all, of the women involved were doing so, again, against their will. So I have some more details about this, again, translated from local reports out of Romania. But I wanted to get some more of your thoughts, Cenk. I mean, look, this is why it's so important for